I forget I have the bloody exposure setting maxed. So it looks like the fucking apocalypse.
Mike the Knight, he's a brave young hero. He's a training knight, but does he show fear? No. There'll be trouble, double trouble, but you know it's gonna be alright. 'Cause every day is an adventure for Mike the Knight.
Cool. Thought I dropped my smokes. Yeah, I've done it 2 days now where I try to do like an actual vlog, and I forget that the exposure, and it was nice today, like it was actually really friggin' nice in the morning. It was chilly, but it was nice, and I totally forgot to drop the exposure setting. It would be nice if the camera had a quick setting, but in all honesty, it's only like 3 buttons to push. 0. I don't know. It's like me getting a frickin' license plate that says Chilliwack. I do prefer riding with the camera though, because the camera is almost like I'm always riding with someone.
I'm so lonely, so lonely, so lonely inside.
So, finally got my camera in a decent spot, or I mean the microphone. So I figured on the way home, I'd do a my first thoughts on this camera. So my first thoughts. On the Ghost Drift. Now I don't know which model this is. To be honest, I don't really give a damn. I'll post it in the comments or add a notation or something like that. So the difference between the Ion Air Pro 2, which is what I was using and I still have, and which I will use as a secondary camera, and this one, the big one right off the hop is that this one actually came with a second backing that has a plug for the microphone as well as the USB port. The second backing has like a little flap over it so you can open and close it. It's a little rubber flap, so it's weatherproof. You don't have to always be switching between the one that's got the open back and the one that's got the closed back, which is super nice, super handy for me. I'm probably never going to use the one that's got the empty back or the closed back, because I'm always using a mic. So second one is that this one has onboard Wi-Fi. The onboard Wi-Fi is built in, so you don't have to worry about taking the Ion mounting pack and plugging it in all the time. That's a nice feature. Third, is that it has a exposure setting. So exposure setting is really nice. Fourth is the way that the camera lens. Fuck. This fucking light, man. The camera lens spins 360 degrees. Now the one upside of the mount for the Ion that I had is it's a little more fine tuning for angled shots. You can really lean it in direction that you want. Whereas this one, you kind of have to make sure that's where you're going to be setting it. I'll show you a couple of differences with another picture, with some pictures and stuff like that. What else? My first thoughts are, it's a wicked camera for a second camera for me now. from, you know, upgrading, because this is definitely an upgrade. The Ion Air Pro 2, which is what I was using before, was a great starter camera. But this one is definitely going to give me some more options and better viewing now. So it's going to kind of be a game changer for me, especially considering the amount of night riding that I'm doing. I'll have the exposure jacked all the time. I think the exposure is actually kind of too high on number 2, so I might end up dropping it to 1. Yeah, like I said, forgetting to change the exposure setting from 2 at night to 0 during the day is a bit of a pain in the ass, because if you do something, get some nice footage or something like that, and you forget to change the exposure setting, it's freaking bright. So I'm really in love with this camera right now. I would actually really like to see an action camera that came with a microphone in the package. I've seen, like, the GoPros don't come with them, the Drift didn't come with it, the Ion didn't come with it, so it's a cheap, you know, it's a cheap addition for the amount that you're spending on this camera. This one was $350 retail, Canadian, and it would have been nice if they had thrown in a microphone, because they did put a bunch of other stuff in the box. So the camera is a really great camera. I haven't had any problems with it. I'm sure eventually I'm going to find a few quirks with it and whatnot. The one thing that I am worried about is the port for the back, like the rubber caps for the holes, either wearing out and falling off, or getting caught on something and getting ripped off. So those are kind of things that aren't going to happen, hopefully. But if they do happen, you'll probably hear me complain about it. Oh man, kind of took that corner shitty. The battery life, I actually found out that it has an auto off feature, which is 2 minutes and 5 minutes. I didn't know that before, so basically I left it on, and I was like, well, why the frick is the battery wearing out so damn fast? Well, because I left it on all day. I don't know how much record time this thing has as of yet, because I'm not really doing a lot of riding right now. It's pretty much to and from work. My Ion Air Pro got about 2 hours, between 2 and 3 hours, depending on how much time I was leaving it on, as well as the picture quality. Please don't hit me. So the Ion actually does 720 at 60 frames per second. This one does 1080 at 30 frames per second. The Ion did 1080 at 30 frames per second as well. I don't know if I drop this one down to 720 if it'll do 60 frames a second. I'm not too sure. The one thing that I do notice is when I try to do slow-mos or take pictures on 1080, it is obviously harder to get a clear shot. Another cool feature about this camera, is that it's got a zoom in and zoom out directly on the camera, which is kind of neat. I really don't think I'll be using it that much, to be honest. The zoom in, zoom out feature is really only usable if you're holding it in your hand, I think. So, I've got this fucking dickweed behind me. Stupid bright lights, man. For some reason he's got his fucking high beams on. Just blinding everyone. The microphone setting and the speaker setting, this thing actually has an external speaker, which is kind of neat. You can kind of go through your footage on the fly, sit down at a coffee shop or something, you can actually go through and read it, or watch it, sorry. As well as the microphone setting, so you can turn the mic up or down. I had it on when I first got it, and holy crap, I was talking as loud as I am right now, and the microphone was crackling because it was way too sensitive. So having small features is really, really handy. Yeah, that's my quick review of the HD Ghost Drift. Once again, I'll put the model number in the comment section. This fucking asshole with his goddamn high beams, man.